What's up, everybody? Just getting everybody ready. We're about to get started in just a second, and we are live on YouTube as we get ready for Titans and Truth coming to you live. Yeah, I better get ready because we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a little bit of a good conversation. And Terrence, what's up with you? And we're going to definitely talk about some stuff and we get ready for this Sunday's big game. So just letting everybody tune in, let everybody show up, and make sure y'all share this show out. There's an arrow right there, the share arrow. Make sure y'all share it out. What's up, Reggie B? What's going on? Yeah, make sure y'all share the show out to everybody. Let everybody know what's going on. And let everybody know that we are live and we are going to get started. We're going to run through this show because, like I said, I know there's some wrestling coming on tonight, and I'm finna get ready to watch some of that AEW wrestling and also some NXT. So just kind of spreading the word out to everybody at the moment. And we are going to get started in just a second. Classic Rod, what's going on with you? Marcus Mariota, what's going on? Yeah, I know there were probably a few of y'all at the game. I couldn't get a chance to get to you. Um, like I said, y'all know I'm not a hard person to talk to. If y'all see me, come holler at me anytime. I don't mind. I love talking football with y'all. So that is never an issue. Y'all can definitely talk to me anytime you want. So, hit me up and we can definitely talk some sports and we can talk some football. I'm just going to do a quick video for YouTube, for Instagram, letting some people know that we are live. We are live on YouTube right now for Titans and Truth. So y'all make sure you join me. We got a few people in here now. We finna get ready to get started. So y'all better get in where you fit in, and we're gonna talk some Broncos. What's up, DO9? I see you. I see you out there. So we're about to get ready, get this party started. And I thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for joining me. And we are going to have us a jolly good time. But I hope everybody's having a good evening. DO9, glad you made it. Tighten up extremes. What's going on with you? James, what's up with you? But that's okay if you can't stay through it. Just watch what you can, and then you can always come back to it. You can always come back to it. It's on demand, so it'll be around. So you could definitely join me anytime and everything. So getting ready for Titans and Truth. Instagram, I know y'all out there. Y'all come holler at me on YouTube. Link is in the bio. So come get with me. We talking Titan football and get your questions out to me. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get this party started. And we're going to go ahead and run through this thing. And thank y'all for everything. And Derek, that's absolutely right. Hit that like button. Hit that like button and hit that share button. Get there. Y'all know what to do. And here we go.
Tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Tightened up. Tightened up. Tightened up. It's a brand new dance and we about to go live. Tighten up, Nashville, rep the 615. First you tighten two steps, step to the right. Then you tighten two steps, step to the left. Blue jerseys everywhere. Game face, yeah, we got it on. Sticking out our chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. It's about to get rough. Here come the train, y'all. Tennessee, tighten up. Tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Sticking out my chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Sticking out my chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Tighten two steps, step to the right. Do the tighten two steps, step to the left. Sticking out my chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Sticking out my chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Okay, all right. Titans got your hands all night. All right, okay. Titans gonna win anyway, get away. First down, come around, we about to shut them down.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, Titan Nation. What's up with y'all? Welcome into a new edition of Titans of Truth. I'm your man, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and we're gonna have a good time this evening. Shout out to my guys, Nemasilla Park, and my boy, Mr. Alton Hood, with that track, Tighten Up, the Titan Two Step. If y'all don't know it, y'all need to go check out that video because that video is live. The Titan Two Step is a real thing. It is real, it is cool, it is fun, and I know I've met the guys. I mean, cool as the other side of the pillow. Love those guys. Shout out to my man Alton Hood. Y'all go follow him on Facebook and Nemasilla Park with that track, Titan Two Step, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, let's get on into everything that's going on with this football team. You know, I'm going to give my final thoughts about the loss to Buffalo, and we're going to get ready to move on to Denver because if y'all didn't see my rant, go on my Facebook page, go on the TNT Enforcers page on Facebook. Um, you know, I did my recap. I had two parts because I was trying to do a couple of things and I accidentally messed up and had to go into two parts. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go ahead and check it out on the TNT Enforcers page. It'll say TNT Quick Recap. It'll say part one and part two on there. So you can listen to both parts of that. But here's a couple of my final thoughts of that. Remember my four Blue Enforcer points to victory. I said patience, hold up, attack their offense, and shut Frank Gore down. I think for the most part, we did three of the four. We had some patience. Marcus, you know, tried to be as patient as he could. Derrick Henry had some timely runs. He had 20 carries, 78 yards. Marcus Mariota, and I know I put out a post during the game. I was like, oh God, Marcus has started back to his old self again. I cannot blame Marcus Mariota for what happened. This game was not his fault. So, you know, we were patient. We were marching down the field. We were doing some things good, but we had a lot of bad things happen. We lost this game for a lot of the wrong reasons. We lost this game for the wrong reasons. And the first thing when I said patience was that number one, very undisciplined at the worst times, untimely penalties. Like in the beginning of the game, we had a big game from Delaney Walker, scratched off because of a hold for Taylor Watt on the first play of the game. Then Roger Saffold, who stinks, by the way, has a false start penalty right after that. So right out of the gate, it's 1st and 25 before we could do anything. And then we had some untimely penalties. I think there was a hold on Jack Conklin. There was a hold on Jack Conklin that knocked out a Derrick Henry touchdown. Then the illegal forward pass, which they really could have let go, which is a touchdown pass to A.J. Brown. And what happens? Missed field goal. So, I mean, I think we had some patience, but we had untimely penalties, which really hurt us big time. Number two was hold up. And I meant to say hold up the line for the offensive line. And they absolutely failed that objective. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The offensive line stunk up the field without question. All five. Nate Davis got just olayed on one sack of Marcus. And I went back and looked at the film. There were at least three of the five sacks were on Roger Saffold. And Saffold's supposed to be our $11 million man. And I just can say it right out, flat out. He flat out sucks. I don't know how the hell he made all pro in LA. I don't know if it's system or who we were playing around, but I mean, Roger Saffold is a major, major disappointment right now. I mean, extremely disappointed in Roger Saffold. Um, Jack Conklin had, I think There was a sack Jack Conklin almost gave up, but it ended up, I think, being an intentional grounding anyway. But I mean, flat out got beat. So there was something that each and every member of the offensive line didn't do right. And with this offensive line, they better fix this whole ordeal with stunts. And I think that's where they have their most trouble is when teams decide to do stunts on them, they don't communicate and who to pick up. And that's led to most of the sacks is on these stunt plays. Like in high school, when I played ball, they were called Texas Twist. They were called the Texas Twist. The defensive end goes inside first, and the defensive tackle comes around on the outside to confuse the offensive lineman. The key to it is that when the defensive end comes inside, the guard should pick up that defensive end, and that outside guy that's coming outside should be the tackle. But a lot of times they delay that. They come like you're already somewhat engaged, then they disengage and they do the switch, and then they do the switch, and by the time you figure out what's going on, it's too late. It's what Zach Bingham calls the lookout block. It's like, oh my God, my man got beat. Look out! That was what was happening with the offensive line. And I mean, they really need to fix that. And like I said last week, if it's one guy on the line that's messing up, I can understand it could be that guy. But if it's the entire unit, you really got to start looking at coaching. Because it just amazes me that a couple of years ago, Russ Grimm was with this offensive line with most of the same guys, with Lawan, Jones, and Conklin, along with Klein and Spain, and we were one of the top offensive lines in the league. Fast forward 2 years later, we're one of the worst offensive lines in the league when we're supposed to have had more talent. So I don't really know what it is with this offensive line, but they better get their crap together. Because this Denver team, despite their record, I am not underestimating them one bit. And we're going to be going mile high. So they better clean this crap up. Third thing was attack the Bills' offense, which I believe they did. They caused the turnover with the Byron interception quietly, and I do say quietly, had 4 sacks on the day on Josh Allen, held them to 14 points, and there were some bad calls. That late hit call on Jarrell Casey was just egregious. It was terrible. That one I didn't understand at all. And then lastly was shut down Frank Gore, which I think the Titans did a very good job on him. Only 14 carries, 60 yards, but the only problem was in that last drive that kind of closed it out, Frank Gore had 3 runs of 11, 14, and 19 yards. I want to say that was right. Had about almost 40 yards on those 3 carries, and that pretty much sealed the game. Other than that, 11 for 20 for Frank Gore the rest of the way. So the Titan defense has been doing their job. The only problem is they have got to quit giving up these late runs at the end of the games. You got to stop doing that. Now, a lot of it is because the offense keeps putting them in bad situations and not getting a lead and taking care of business themselves. That's part of the problem. So I really don't have a lot to blame the defense on with that. But, yeah, offensively, we got to straighten this thing up. Number 2, Cairo Santos sucked. And I'm glad he got cut. He got released Monday. And nobody was probably happier than me when that happened. I thought he should have been let go right after the game. Like, he should have been cut and gone to his car with his pink slip, without a doubt. Number 3 would be, I'm starting to really lose patience and faith in Mike Vrabel. I wasn't high on the hire in the first place. If you go back and look at a previous episode when I talked about Vrabel when he got hired, I was not high on the hiring to begin with. And we're starting to kind of see why. Because he's thinking too much like a player and not like a coach. It's like whatever you should do in certain situations, he does the exact opposite. In Atlanta, went for it on fourth down when he should have kicked the field goal and take a 3-score lead. Now, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe he didn't believe in Santos at the time, which I can understand that. But then here in this game, you kick the field goal after he'd have missed the first 3, and you could have just went for it on fourth down. Or hell, you could have even punted the football, pinned them deep. You got the best punter in the league back there. But I said enough about that before. Vrabel is going to have to learn to be a coach, not a player, and not be so much on emotion, but be smart. Be aggressive, but be smart about it. You could be intelligently aggressive. You could be intelligent and aggressive at the same time. You have to be smart about just, you got to know the situation. And that's a lot of the game. A lot of football is situations and tendencies. You got to understand it, which, you know, they asked a lot about analytics during some of these press conferences. And I'm starting to understand why. Because, you know, back in the day when analytics really was starting to come in, I didn't really understand the meaning of analytics. But in a way, I still don't. But it's a lot of time where you got to understand numbers and situations. You got to know what situation you're in and what is the probability of that being a success or the probability of that being a failure, depending on the situation of the game. And that's something that Vrabel needs to learn and do with that. So, yeah, Vrabel is starting to really lose my confidence and my faith, and he better pick it up. Now, one other play I wanted to go over, and I don't know if any of you ever went back and looked at this, and this is a play, yes, it was a positive play, but I'm pissed off about this play. And that was the tight end screen, Marcus threw to Jonnu. Jonnu picked up a big game, picked up, I think, 57 yards on the game. It was a big play. The problem I have with that is 2 problems. If Jonnu quit trying to shake and bake because he felt somebody was coming behind him and could have just stayed focused on straight ahead, that was nothing but grass and the end zone in his sights, he scores on that play. Jonnu Smith should have scored on that play. And if he scores, we have an entirely different conversation this evening. We're having a whole different ball game. Because, and the reason why I say that is because of how the drive ended. Ended with a missed field goal. Did all of that, got nothing out of it. So I went back, like I said, I went back, and not only did I look at the play, watching the replay on the NFL Game Pass, I watched the all 22 of that exact play. And I looked at the trajectory and the path that Jonnu Smith was taking. If he had just kept straight, he had blockers on both sides of him, which I think he was starting to outrun his blockers. But he had a guy on the left that if he doesn't shake it, if he doesn't try to cut back, that guy's not going to catch him. And he had a guy on the other side. Humphreys was right there to take care of him. If Jonnu keeps straight, he scores. And I dare anybody to dispute me on that play. And Hunter, you're absolutely right. If Suckup had been playing, now Suckup has not always been great from 50 also. But I have more confidence in him making a 50-yarder than Suckos. Because I've seen it. Ryan Suckup made a 54-yarder, made a 54-yarder in Kansas City, kicking a block of ice through the uprights. That football was like a block of ice in that cold weather, and he drilled it. So I agree. And especially, and Suckup damn sure wouldn't have missed from 33 and 36. There's no way he would have missed. Now, 53, that's kind of iffy. Because, I mean, he's been iffy, but I think I have more faith in him doing that. You know? Suckup, we know, can do the job. So even if Suckup was 0-2 and was going for that 53-yarder, I still have confidence that Suckup's going to make the kick. I would have just said, you know what? Suckup has a bad day. Drill this one, he going to be all right. And I honestly think in the games we lost, it's come down to 1 or 2 inches that has kept us from victory. In this game, and this is the theme of the season for me, missed opportunities. Hit those field goals, we win. Jonnu scores there, we win. Santos doesn't miss that kick against Indy, and we don't run that clock down, we win. Now, Jacksonville, I don't know about that, but we definitely should be 4-1 right now, without a doubt. I'm going to go back and read some comments. Let's see. We're going to go through some comments right quick. Cody Parker. Yeah, we'll talk about that. D09 says quarterback, offensive line, kicker aside. Coaching was bad. And I agree. Coaching was very bad. And it starts with Vrabel. And in a small bit, I'm starting to question John Robinson a little bit with some of the moves he's been making. Now, Mike Vrabel is not going to get fired by any means, but I said this on the recap. I think Mike Vrabel's seat should be warming up just a smidge. I'm not saying getting warm to hot. I'm talking about warm, maybe like lukewarm, just a bit, to maybe light a fire under his ass to do it right. And Derek, you're right. Can't blame it on Marcus. Now, he didn't win us the game, but he ain't the reason we lost the game. O-line was definitely that. Now, the officiating was horrible too. Without a doubt, I never talked about that. The officiating was horrible. And yes, we do need a new O-line coach. I would be groveling and begging Russ Grimm to come back. Vrabel got Santos fired. I agree, but Santos helped himself too. Derek Robinson said, I've seen kickers miss 3 field goals before, but the head coach never put him back out there to potentially put his job on the line. I agree. If you miss 3 field goals in that situation, you know that the guy's confidence is shot. In kicking, just like in any part of the game, it's a mental thing. If you don't have the confidence up here, no matter how you might look, if you have doubts in your mind, you're not going to succeed. And I was there. I'm looking at Santos's body language. He walked with his hands on his hips around, kind of has his head down a little bit. You knew his confidence wasn't there. His confidence was gone. And of course, like a lot of people have said, Mike Vrabel's going to go to him and say, can you kick this 53-yarder? Of course he's going to say, yes, I can do it. Even though he knew in his mind he couldn't. But he wants to get on the field. And Marcus, I'm going to get to the fans a little bit later. And, there's definitely some exciting news. But I'm starting to think the offensive line coach could be fired. And I said this on Jared and the GM, and I might have said this on the recap show. Mike Vrabel came out, and they asked about the offensive line about Keith Carter. And Mike Vrabel committed what I think is football malpractice 101. You know your offensive line is struggling. He asked about the offensive line coach. And not only did Vrabel say we believe in him or, we're sticking with him, he, as people have said, he doubled down on Keith Carter. He said, I'm very confident in him. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not confident in him, and I'm really starting not to be confident in you. Come on, man. That is football malpractice. That should get you disbarred. But if the O line continues to fail, I'm gonna look at him and be like, "You're the one that doubled down on this O line coach, and he still sucked." Now, Shaq Lawson didn't really expose anything with Lawan. Shaq Lawson didn't really do much. Yeah, he was a part of that one sack. And I think Lawan was still trying to get his feet wet. I'm not really making excuses for him, even though he was in Twitter wars and shouldn't have been. He should have just kept his mouth shut and took the L because you got your butt kicked. Plain and simple. So let's see. If we had a healthy sucker, we would be 4-1. Now, again, I do agree. I think we should be 4-1 right now. But as mad as I was, and a lot of us were, a lot of teams, and I said this in the beginning of the year, a lot of teams that start off slow end up getting better as the year go on. And a lot of teams that start off fast end up slowing down. Like, I think Emily and Corey Curtis of News 2 was talking about this on one of their lives yesterday. They said there was a team a long time ago, they started off 3-1. Ended up winning only one more game the rest of the way. Went from 3-1 to 4-12. Titans some years ago went from 1-4 to 11-5 AFC Championship game. So it can happen. But this Titan team has to start with the game against Denver. And I agree, it is time for us to get into the 21st century on offense. So we got to do what we got to do. And Derek's right. Jonnu shouldn't have cut it back. I agree with that. Jonnu is not terrible. He's not great. Definitely not great. I will say that. Should have went with Matt LaFleur over Vrabel. I don't know necessarily if we should have went with Matt LaFleur. I mean, LaFleur is doing great, doing a good job at Green Bay, but look at who he got. He got Aaron freaking Rodgers. Now, I do agree we should have had a more offensive-minded head coach because you basically said this offense and 9-7 getting to the playoffs and winning a playoff game was not good enough. That was what John Robinson said. Well, he didn't say it, but his actions said that. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, we've been 9-7 the last 3 years. We should be happy we're playing winning football. Yes. But I think fans are getting sick and tired of 9-7 and feel like we're on this same level. It's time to go above that. Time to go to 10-6. Time to go to 11-5 to 12-4. That's where we want to go. 9-7, we've had our fill of that. It's time to go forward. And Arthur Smith, I think he is slowly getting better. I mean, he's still learning how to call plays, you know, and I don't think it's really a lack of play calling or game planning. It's like Marcus said, it's mainly execution that has been the issue. Execution is a problem. And Derek, I agree with you. Great quarterbacks know how to elevate their team. They know how to win despite a terrible offensive line. Deshaun Watson gets battered every single game. Yet he's still producing at a great level. He has a horrible offensive line. They just went out and put 50 on Atlanta. Russell Wilson has had a history of bad offensive lines. Repeatedly get him to the playoffs and to Super Bowls. How come Marcus can't do that? Exactly. Everybody wants a record better than 9-7. And I agree, C-Dub. No quarterback can do anything if a 300-pound lineman is in your lap before you can look up. I agree. Again, that is on the offensive line. The offensive line need to get their shit together. Absolutely. And I've said it before, I'm out on Marcus Mariota, but I've left the door ajar. But at the same time, quarterbacks can elevate a team. We've seen it for years with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is a prime example. A lot of times people say, well, the talent around a quarterback can make a quarterback better. Most of the time, it's the quarterback that makes the talent around them better. Peyton Manning had a bunch of no-name receivers, made them household names. Now, granted, I'm talking about Peyton Manning here, but look at who he had. Of course, he had Marvin Harrison. We know who he is. Reggie Wayne, we know who he is. But he had Alex Gonzalez, Pierre Garcon, Blair White, Austin Collie. You know, after Dallas Clark, I forgot who else he had. Dwayne Allen. I don't know if he was with Peyton. I think he might have been with Andrew Luck. But these are guys, no-name guys, nobody knew about. Who knows what happened to Pierre Garcon after the Colts? Yeah, he went to the Redskins for a minute and then out to San Francisco. But what has he done since? Nothing. Austin Collie, Blair White, I ain't never heard from these guys again after Peyton Manning. Quarterbacks can make others better. And I said this before, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Attitude reflects leadership. A lot of teams take the attitude of their quarterback, not of Taylor Lewan, not of Delaney Walker, but most times teams, offenses and defenses, rally around the quarterback because they are the number one. As Al Pacino said, any given Sunday, you ain't no running back, you ain't no prima donna wide receiver, you are a goddamn quarterback. You are the one they look to first, number one. You are the one that gets all the praise, and you are the one that gets all the blame. You're the guy they look to first. If they believe in you, they will break their necks, backs for you to make sure that you succeed. They will block their tail off, run their routes like crazy. They'll do everything for you if they believe. So Marcus better make sure this team believes in him. Now, obviously they're going to say they do, and in most parts, I think they do believe in him. But also, Marcus needs to believe in him. So, you know, and the Colts ain't always had an elite offensive line. They had good offensive lines, agreed, with Jeff Saturday and I forgot some of the other guys that were on the offensive line. Yes, he had a couple of good linemen. I'm not going to disagree with that. And Luck at times had terrible offensive lines. He still produced and made other guys better. Now, again, and Derek, you're right. We're going to get ready to move on to the next subject because we're going to run through the rest of the show. You can tell there is frustration in that locker room. And I'm afraid I'm starting to get afraid that there's some dissension in the ranks. You can tell by Delaney Walker's comments that he's pissed off. He is frustrated. He is upset and frustrated, which Delaney was part of the reason we lost this game because he dropped a major third down catch that he should have had. Very sure-handed. Should have had it. No excuse. But you could tell Delaney, he's getting frustrated by the day. And you could tell. Corey Davis is as well. And Paul Kaharski and the guys on 104.5 are talking about this earlier. in the day. They were talking about um, with Corey Davis, his struggles, some of it's on Corey Davis. A lot of it is on the coaching and the scheme. They're not using Corey Davis correctly. If it's me, I am forcing the ball to Corey and to AJ and try to get it to Delaney. I am making sure AJ and Corey Davis eat. And I said this before, I'll say it again. It seems to me Marcus always waits for the perfect window. Like everything has to be perfect before he throws the ball. Perfect pocket. The route has to be perfect. The guy has to be basically screaming, "I'm wide open," before he throws the ball. Instead of anticipation, throwing the ball open. He threw with great anticipation against Atlanta. Not so much in this game, but it wasn't terrible. And Adam Humphries, I don't know what's up with him. And I don't think a lot of it is his fault. Again, they're not using him correctly. But he did drop a third down pass he should have had. I think it was the first drive. No, it was the second drive. Second drive, he drops a pass that he should have had. But let's move on now. So that I closed the book on that. So Buffalo is gone. But let's get to some breaking news that has been coming out for the last couple of days. First off, Santos got released. But even more shocking and to me a bit confusing is that the Titans have agreed to terms with the used to be famous Mr. Doinky Doink, Cody Parkey. And when I heard this signing was about to happen, I was terrified. Because I'm like, oh my God, we're replacing one terrible kicker with another. And here was the startling stat that was brought up on the morning drive, ESPN 1025, the game on, I think it was on Tuesday. They said that Cody Parkey is the 20th best kicker all time at, I want to say, 83.6% accuracy rate. 20th all time. I was shocked by that. Now, I don't know if that's going to translate to anything today. I did see some quotes, and, Brett Kearns talked to him to make sure that hold and kick are good. But, Parkey thinks this is a good situation. He's put last year behind him, and I hope he has. And we're going to find out because we got 3 games left until Suckup can come back. And oh my God, Suckup can't get back here fast enough. But I am kind of concerned about Cody Parkey on his team. Even though experts have said we're going to Mile High Stadium, that with the thin air and the high altitude, it's easier to kick there. Now, that doesn't mean Cody Parkey's going to be successful. We will find out. We're going to find out. But he is infamous for one kick. We're going to see if he can redeem himself. Now, the other news is that we may be seeing the return of our first round pick, Jeffrey Simmons. It has been put out. It was put out by Paul Kaharski yesterday that the Titans have cleared Jeffrey Simmons to practice next week and possibly could be available for the Week 7 game against the LA Chargers. Now, here's my thoughts about this. I do not expect Jeffrey Simmons to play right away. And if he does, maybe he plays about 10 to 20 snaps tops just to get his feet wet. But the thing that I'm concerned about with this, if it's me, I'm going to give him about 2 weeks of practice before I put him out. The game against the Bucs would be the game I would put him out in. I would do that. Give him 2 solid weeks of practice Bucks game is where I would debut him. I'm just scared that this could end up being a Jack Conklin situation. What happened with Jack Conklin towards ACL, tried to get back too quickly, and he ended up re-injuring something else. I just pray that they are not rushing him back too fast. Now, they've been saying all offseason that he's ahead of schedule, and it's been nearly 8.5 to 9 months since the injury. So I'm hoping they're not rushing him back. If he gives us anything extra on the defensive line, which I think is needed, he will make Jarrell Casey's life easier. He will make Wake's life easier. He will definitely make Landry's life easier. And could you imagine a third down situation where you got Landry, Casey, Simmons, Wake, all rushing the passer? That would be a major problem for offensive linemen. They'll be terrified. So I look forward to Jeffrey Simmons playing. I just don't want them to rush him back. Now, if they think he's ready and he thinks if the doctors and everybody thinks he's ready, put him in for about 10 to maybe 20 snaps just for him to get his feet wet. Now, maybe towards the end of the year with Houston and New Orleans, you could put him on the field longer. Next year, definitely. But I just hope they're not rushing him back. All right, y'all. And Daquan Jones has been all right. I'm not gonna completely bash Daquan Jones, I have in the past. But CW is actually, he'll be on the field. He's been on the field practicing on the side fields and stuff, but talking about actually in team practice. Next week, he will be practicing, and all eyes are going to be on him when he gets on the field. So, and yes, CW, you're absolutely right. Medical team and training team are definitely, talking about it as far as when it came to Conklin's recovery. Players do recover differently. The body is different. You're absolutely right. I do not disagree with that. So we're definitely going to find out. But now it's time for us to give out our two-tone blue star of the week from this game. I do have one guy that I think is well deserving of this award. Well, actually, I take that back. I have 3 nominees, and they're all on one side of the ball. It's on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously, Derek Roberts does have one of my nominees. That would be the mayor of Murfreesboro, KB31, Kevin Byard. Had the only turnover of the football game for either team, and it was the pick off of Josh Allen, which we did turn into a touchdown. Let's see. Marcus Mariota says Byard. CW says Byard, Evans, Mariota, 3 stars of the week. I'm not going to count Mariota in this one. Again, I said this is on the defensive side. Really, nobody on the offensive side gets an award from me personally. Marcus has done better. Marcus didn't have a terrible game, but he wasn't the reason we won or lost. Rashaan Evans definitely deserves some nomination. Deserves a nominee look. Absolutely. But also another star of the week nominee has to be Harold Landry. Harold Landry had another sack in this game. He has 4 on the year already. All of last year, he had 4.5. He has 4. I want to say he's on pace for about 12 to 13 sacks this year, I want to say. And everybody, hey, look, I know there are some of us that still believe in Marcus Mariota. Like I said, Marcus is good. Marcus did pretty all right this past week, but it wasn't good enough. It was not good enough. It didn't elevate us to a victory. So I can't really put them on that list. But Derek, I understand where you're coming from with the nomination. And absolutely, I agree totally. If you're a Heisman Trophy winner, shouldn't take you 5 years to get there. As CW says, Landry will end up with 11. Yeah. Joseph says, Jefferson's debut, some people are going to get those hands. Hey, I like that. I definitely like that. CW said, the only reason I picked Mariota is he stood behind an awful offensive line and did all he could. True. Again, CW, I'm not going to discredit your point. I'm not discrediting your point. Marcus did do all he could do behind that trash of an offensive line. Still wasn't good enough, though. Still wasn't good enough. But I will have to say, the two-tone blue star of the week will have to be the mayor of Murfreesboro, Kevin, the high man paid Byard. I love that guy. I got to get me a 31 jersey. I mean, continues to make plays. I believe that is his third interception of the year, if I'm not mistaken. I need to confirm that. And I can in about 15 seconds. But yes, Kevin Byard, definitely the two-tone blue star of the week. But I'm definitely going to give some love to Rashaan Evans and Harold Landry. Both of them are playing pretty well this season. Landry, I think, is coming along very, very nicely. See, to say, I get where you're coming from. A franchise quarterback should have pulled that off, but I still believe he can lead us to the playoff. We're going to find out. Again, Marcus is still on the outside of my house. He's on my sidewalk. He could get a little bit into the front yard, but he ain't crossing the front yard just yet. He's still got work to do. Now, whenever we have a star of the week, you know we have a dunce of the day. And honestly enough, I have a co-dunce of the day, which I think this is easy to do. But I also have a honorable mention. So there are really no need to vote for this, because I think we've all said who the co-dunces of the day are. And I mentioned this the other night. The dunces of the day has to be Cairo Suckos and Mike Vrabel. Indeed. Santos for missing 4 field goals, and Mike Vrabel for making horrible decisions at the worst time, sending the kicker out there after he missed the first 3. Now again, if this was his first kick, or if he had been like 1 for 2 previously, then okay, I see you sending him out there. But you saw that he's missed 3 field goals already in this game. And he gives the excuse of, well, we're trying to win the game. We're trying to get points on the board. And then that way, the next time we get the ball, we go down and score. So you were trying to see if you can get a field goal, go down 14-10. And then you're going to take another shot at trying to score. You go for the touchdown right then. Make it 14 all. And then maybe you get a shot at a field goal if it's a better shot to go 17-14. That's what he should have did. But honestly enough, yes, the co-dunces of the day, Coach Vrabel and Cairo Suckos Santos. Marcus Mariota is not a dunce honorable mention. Absolutely not. You know what? There are 2 honorable mentions. Roger Saffold definitely, offensive line definitely deserves a nomination. The entire offensive line. But Vrabel and Santos just completely took that one away. Just completely won that one straight out. I thought about the offensive line, but Vrabel and Santos just overwhelming favorites. And they got it. O-line, definitely an honorable mention. But the other honorable mention for dunce of the day that I have to give it to, and a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say, and Byard has 2 interceptions, by the way, is us, the Tighten Up Nation. We have to be a dunce of the day honorable mention as well for that crap atmosphere we put up on Sunday. Now, I know a lot of you are out of town and don't live nowhere near Nashville. I understand that. And if you couldn't physically make it to the game because you're not in Nashville or in Tennessee, rather, this ain't about you. I am talking about fans who are in Nashville, in the Middle Tennessee area, who can make the trek to the game. Hell, I live in Memphis now, and I'm still a season ticket holder. And every game, I trek 3.5 hours up the interstate to go see the Titans play. But for the fans that are there, or who bought tickets and decided to sell, saying that they don't believe in the team. I understand if you're selling the tickets to another Titan fan because you really need the money, or you maybe had to work, or you had something else going on family-wise or something like that. I get that. But just going just because for the sake of not going and letting Bill's Mafia of all people outdo us, it was a damn shame. I was embarrassed to be a Titans fan hearing the Buffalo fans basically act like they're at a home game. I felt like a visitor in my own stadium. And not only were Buffalo Bill fans there, and there were a bunch of them, they were there loud and proud. Like when their team was on defense, they were cheering harder than we were. I have never been a part of something like that. Never. And Marcus Margolis said that as a fan who travels 2 hours to every game. Yeah, I travel 3.5 hours to every game. Unless I'm already in Nashville for the weekend. So I was, I was very unhappy seeing that and feeling that. And like I said, I blame all of Titan Nation, and that includes me. That includes me as well. I'm in the same nation as all of you. So again, I'm part of the blame too. I'm part of the blame too. Okay? We got to hold the entire fan base accountable. That includes me. And CW says, 5 states away. Again, if you're like out of town, out of the state of Tennessee, outside of Nashville, and I'll even say, Memphis. I know some Memphis fans do go up for games sometimes. But I'm talking about those who are like in Nashville, Clarksville, Murfreesboro, right in Kentucky, that's like 30 minutes to an hour away, who don't go. That's who I'm talking about. And can we kill this whole good to great thing? I'm kind of sick of hearing that because I would like for us to go from mediocre to good. Can we do that? And the whole, we got to coach better, we got to play better, we got to be better. I am so sick of hearing that. And it's rubbing off on the whole team. Can we pick something else to say in the press conference? We know you got to play better and do all these things better. You've been saying that for weeks. Can you please do it? I don't think that's too much to ask. And CW, I understand that. What state are you living in, by the way, CW? I want to know. Let me know what state you're in. Now, I'm in Memphis, and there is a Titans fan club here. Oh, South Dakota. Okay. Gotcha. I'm a Titans fan in Memphis with other Titans fans. But of course, Memphis is a city that is known famously for having a huge base of Cowboy fans and Steeler fans. And that's rough. You're in a city where you got Cowboys and Steeler fans all over the place. And there's a few Eagles, 49ers, Raiders. There's even a place here for Packer fans, and there's a little small spot for Buffalo Bills fans, of all places. We all get fun of being a Titans fan. Unbelievable. And Lil Kilo, exactly. Memphis, I've said it to everybody. It is 45% Cowboys, 45% Steelers, 10% everybody else. I have friends now who always talking crap to me because I'm a Titans fan. And I could care less. Because as bad as I might get, I'm Titans through and through, and we going to stick this thing out. So we really got to do some things better. Hunter Kelly, go Tigers, indeed. 5-0, 23rd ranked. Hopefully they beat Temple, go to 6-0. I'm kind of ready to go see Tulane, and hopefully they're undefeated when they get ready for SMU in a few weeks. That's going to be a great game. Absolutely. And Derek, you're right. No more excuses for Marcus. When you have a top-tier guy under center, your offensive philosophy will fast forward immediately, even if you're a running team. I agree with that. But let's go ahead. As he Joseph's in Goodlettsville Rivergate, of course. Yeah, I figure that. You're good. But let's go ahead and get to are there a couple of pick my brain questions? I can answer a couple of pick my brain questions, but I quickly want to get into I see Larry Bunt on my Facebook post says, I demand a win. I know that's right. I demand victory. I know that's right. So I'll take a couple of pick my brain questions, and then we're going to quickly go ahead and talk about the Denver Broncos right quick before we get out of here. But this team has got to pick it up. They got to step it up. Forget about doing better and being better. How about execute? How about get us a victory? How about play your ass off? Excuse my language. And what's up, Blackjack? And again, yes, I have publicly said I'm out on Marcus Mariota, but I am leaving the door ajar. Marcus Mariota, again, I've said this before. Marcus is not the reason we lost that football game. He wasn't the reason we won it. We could have won it, but he definitely did not lose us this game. So I am not blaming Marcus Mariota at all. And Derek, you're right. Tajay, he only had one catch, and it was a big third down catch. But, hey, A.J. Brown and Corey Davis are outplaying them. And the Broncos, I didn't think were going to beat the Chargers, but they did. And the Raiders have won 2 in a row. Raiders may not be a slouch either. And then speaking of the Denver Broncos, let's get to them. They are, of course, 1-4. They beat the Chargers 20-13. And one thing that I noticed when I went back and watched this football game was, number one, the Broncos have a pretty decent offensive line. You got Garrett Bowles from Utah. You got Dalton Reisner from Kansas State, a pretty good guard, by the way. Ron Leary, another guard, and a veteran, and Juwan James from Tennessee, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. We're going to have to find a way to get pressure on that offensive line. And I think attacking Garrett Bowles might be the best way to do it, because it's not going to be easy attacking up the middle. We're going to have to do some disguising and confusing. Maybe we do some stunts. But we've got to get Flacco off of his spot. And we're going to have to make sure we shut down Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. Two very capable backs. And Philip Lindsay's underrated. Philip Lindsay is an underrated running back. A very, very good running back. I have definitely noticed him. Lindsay's good and underrated. So the things we got to do is we have got to get some pressure on Joe Flacco, get him off his spot. We've played against Flacco in the past, and we got to force him to make some mistakes. He could throw us one or two. But we also got to wrap up and shut down that running game of Freeman and Lindsay. On the outside, we just got to do our best to take care of Emmanuel Sanders and Cortland Sutton. Sutton's a speedster. He can get vertical. So we're going to be able to contain it. Emmanuel Sanders is Emmanuel Sanders, just a consistently good receiver. Cortland Sutton had 4 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown in the game against the Chargers. Philip Lindsay had 15 carries, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Freeman had 13 carries, 61 yards. So they combined to have 175 yards rushing between the two. Do I think Jalen Hurts could be a true NFL quarterback? I don't know yet. I don't know. I want to see him against a legit defense. When he goes up against Texas, that might tell me the story with Jalen Hurts. When he goes up against Texas. Or I want to see him in the playoff. Then we'll find out if Jalen Hurts is the real deal. And, excuse me. But we've got to get pressure on Joe Flacco, and we have got to shut down the run. We got to stop the running game. And then we can come after Joe Flacco. We get him off his spot. He's not very mobile. He doesn't feel comfortable running. He doesn't feel comfortable pushing to the outside. He likes to keep everything in the pocket. And one thing that Landry and Finch and whoever's on the outside could do, they have got to keep outside contained. They have got to keep their outside shoulder free and don't give Flacco an outlet. Keep him in the pocket, collapse that pocket, and then get to him. That's what the Titans defense has got to do. Because the Broncos, they like to run a lot of 11 personnel, 12, and sometimes even 13 personnel. And a lot of times they'll have 2 tight end sets, or they'll have it where they overload, put 2 tight ends on one side for the run, and they even throw out of that formation. And they even have it where one of their tight ends is lined up as a fullback in the backfield for Lindsay. So we got to be very conscious of that. Their offense is not very different from us. But they mostly ran a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of 12 and quite a bit of 11 personnel. That was a lot of what they did. They rarely ran like some 21 or 22 personnel. They mainly had a lot of one-back sets with 2 tight ends, or with 3 receiver sets. That's a lot of what they ran. And Flacco really wasn't taking deep shots. He wasn't really taking a lot of deep shots. He was taking maybe some out routes or some slants, trying to pick apart a zone, but he wasn't really taking shots deep at all. But he can go deep. Now, not saying he won't. I'm just saying what I observed in the game against the Chargers, he didn't. But he can. And I do hope Cameron Wake does play. He did not practice today. Pompfield was limited, but Walker and Wake did not practice today. So I don't know what that will mean going forward for this week, but that's something to keep an eye on. Now, on the other side of the ball, you got Von Miller, one of the best in the game, even though he's on the trading block, and I wouldn't mind at least looking into getting him. But you got him, you got Derek Wolfe, you still got one of the better corners in the league in Chris Harris Jr. And a lot of the times with this Bronco defense, they are this Bronco defense is a top 10 defense. They're seventh in yards per game, fifth against the pass, but they're 22nd against the run. So that's where we could have an advantage. But they don't like giving up points either because they're 10th in scoring defense, even though we're sixth. They're seventh in yards per game. I believe we're ninth. They're fifth against the pass. I want to say we're ninth or 10th against the pass. They're 22nd against the run. That is maybe where we have an advantage. But again, I can see some read options, some RPOs, because they're going to try to crowd the line and stop Derrick Henry. That is going to be their top mission, is to shut Derrick Henry down. And of course, we also brought up Dalen Dawkins for the practice squad, and we have Rod Smith, the new running back for the Cowboys, who could be good for pass protection and third down. But the first thing we would have to do is stop Von Miller. And Blake Bedingfield basically said, no, Greg Cosell said it earlier on the Midday 180. He figures they're going to try to get Von Miller in one-on-one situations, and they think you have a favorable matchup against Jack Conklin, mostly. I can see a lot of where Delaney or Jonnu is there to double and help Conklin block Von Miller. Now, if Von Miller's on the other side against Taylor Lewan, I'm not really worried about that matchup. I think Lewan can take care of Von Miller one-on-one. But if he's over there with Jack Conklin, I would probably have an extra tight end to help him out. Or you bring in Dennis Kelly as an extra tight end to help in that situation. But Conklin's got his work cut out for him. And I'm not saying that Conklin isn't good, because I think the majority of our offensive line problems is in the interior. That's why I think the problem is. But, yeah. Whenever Jack Conklin is against Von Miller, he's going to have his work cut out for him. And a lot of the times, Denver only brings 4 guys. They may bring a 5th from time to time. And they do blitz, but they do a lot of pressuring with just 4 guys the majority of the time. That's why you have the no-fly zone. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. And Joseph, you're right. I agree. We have to harass Joe Flacco, get in his face. Get in his face. We got to get him off his spot. I absolutely agree with that. We have to make Joe Flacco uncomfortable. But defensively, we got to go right at Von Miller. Run right at him, and then we can also use that to set up the pass, or we can use the pass to set up the run. Because I think a lot of the times the Broncos were trying to keep a lot of plays in front of them. Even though Phillip Rivers did take a few shots. But I think if we could get protection against the 4, and they weren't using a lot of stunts and twists, even though they did use a couple of times, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't like Buffalo where they were doing a lot of stunts. They did like a couple of stunts, but a lot of the time they were just bringing pressure with the 4. Because I don't think Phillip Rivers got sacked at all. So that's going to be very, very important. And I think a lot of people said this is the game that the Titans should win. But I don't know if this is a game they will win. And I was given the atmosphere and where they are being in, where it will be in Mile High, in a high altitude. But I think originally in my picks, I picked Denver in this game. But something tells me the Titans are going to win this game. I think they're going to come back and win this game. And I'm going to say a final score. I'm going to say 20-10. I think that's going to be the final score. I think the Titans will win this game. Bradley Chubb being out. Bradley Chubb being out is a big, big deal. Bradley Chubb being out is a huge deal because that's really one less guy we got to worry about. We can mainly focus. We could probably shift our protections to make sure Von Miller doesn't get wrecked the game because Von Miller is a game wrecker. And that's what we're hoping Landry becomes, a game wrecker. So that's my prediction. 20-10, Titans get the win and get to 3-3. But before I get out of here, you know, I definitely want to thank everybody for supporting me, supporting Titans in Truth for all this time, for these last couple of years. We're going to have our, in a couple of weeks, right before the Tampa Bay game, we will have our 3-year anniversary show. We have our 3-year anniversary show coming up. So get ready for that. I'm going to try to get some guests for that. So that's going to be a very exciting show for that. 3 years coming up. So definitely be thinking about maybe what was your best favorite episode? What was your favorite thoughts of me? What do you think of the show and everything out of these 3 years? I really want y'all to let me know what you think. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other news that I could think of before we get out of here. But yeah, I'm starting to look at J-Rob. J-Rob better get this thing figured out. Because if Vrabel fails, it's going to be on John Robinson. Because John Robinson basically said Mike Mularkey going at 9-7, going to the playoffs, winning the playoff game was not good enough. So our John is an awesome John is wearing thin. And Dion Lewis could be on his way out. With Dalen Dawkins being called up, I mean, why would you bring in another running back if you got Dion Lewis and Derrick Henry? Rod Smith, I understand, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to bring Dalen Dawkins up to the 53-man roster unless you're just thinking, you know what, Dion Lewis ain't producing. Let's see something different. So we're definitely going to find out. But everybody, I'm finna go and get up out of here. Finna get ready to watch me some wrestling right quick. Thank y'all for tuning in to Titans in Truth. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And let's see if we can go get Mile High and go get this victory. Tighten up. I will holler at y'all.